Not the Chuddle.
Chuddle.
Surprise.
I have a real soft spot for evil.
Blood flying everywhere.
For good.
I'm a big boy who doesn't get scared.
Out of the mist and into the fog, it's Chuddle the Pod.
Salutations, Underground Club members, and welcome to another blood-drenched meeting of the Chuddle the Pod Horror Movie Club. Tonight, we embark on a gothic journey into the world of anime horror with 2000's Vampire Hunter D, Bloodlust.
Ooh.
My name's Brian, and as always, I'm joined by my fellow hunters of the pod, Ross.
Oh, hey.
And Sam.
Sup?
Great hunter voices, guys. Thanks for joining me here tonight and going through this as we continue our anime cycle and work our way through this.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for
this was, of course,
having us.
Once again, this was, well, we'll talk about that in a second. Before we dive into the hunt, don't forget we like to keep it spoiler-free up top. We'll let you know when those spoilers plop. And of course, a massive thank you to our Patreon supporters, our Coven of Witches. Your sacrifice gives us life. We are eternally grateful for your wicked souls. So, as I was mentioning just about to before, this is Anime Month. This was voted upon by our patrons. One of the perks that some of them get there. We have 3 different tiers. Gets you all the content, but gives you more control the higher up you go.
Control us.
With all club members present and accounted for, let's officially begin tonight's meeting and open up the goo book too.
Give me that goo. Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Sergio. Always a pleasure to have you here. Just for that, he pops in every time to do that.
He
if
does,
anyone doesn't know,
does it live.
Yeah, does it live, and now he's out.
Not
so thanks
cheap.
for that. Not cheap. That's where it all goes to. Everything goes to Sergio. But it's worth it. We think it's worth it.
And actually, we could use some more patrons to help so we don't have to go as far out of our pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard enough.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. But
it's
then
hard,
between this and the fee for their appearance on the franchise episodes, oh my goodness.
It
that
eats
franchise
about
fee
98% of our budget.
It gets higher each time too.
I know, exponentially.
These guys got kids. Some of their kids aren't eating some nights because
well, I mean, we have to have Cody and Sergio.
So thanks, guys, and
the horror bandwagon. Check them out.
Love them so much.
They're amazing.
You know them. We love those guys. So let's go ahead and do this.
Let's do some lines. That's where the other 2% goes.
The cocaine. Solid. All right, dude. All right, our logline for this film. A legendary Dampier competes with a motley family of bounty hunters to return a young woman who has been seemingly abducted by a vampire to her family.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Did they say it was a vampire?
Dampier, Dhampir. We'll get into
Dampiers.
Okay.
What stuff is called shortly.
Okay, because that's not what they call him in the movie.
Not at all. They call him a dun peel. But
Yes.
I said, we'll touch a little bit more on that there in a moment. But our tagline for this one, only one: when the sun sets, the hunt begins. Which I mean is fine, more or less. But I mean, realistically, the hunters are always hunting.
Yeah, and don't they prefer to hunt like after
In
sunrise?
daylight? Yes.
Right.
It's like, you dare to take on a vampire at night?
What are you, insane?
Some of them prove to be. So that's all there is for those ones there. Nothing much to expand upon that, which is great. Brings us over to Who Made It. This is directed by Yoshiaki Kawajiri, with writing credits going to Yoshiaki as well, and Hideyuki Kikuchi for the novel, the original source material.
Oh, okay.
Now, our cast, as you notice, you would hear that it's all an English cast mostly.
Yes.
It is Andrew Philpott as D, John Rafter Lee as Meyer Link, Pamela Adlon as Leila, Wendy Lee as Charlotte, Michael McShane as Left Hand, Julia Fletcher as Carmela, Matt McKenzie as Borgoff, John DiMaggio as Nolt, the sheriff, Machira, I think is his name, the wolf guy, and John Elborn. Alex Fernandez is Kyle. Jack Fletcher is Grove. There's a bunch of other people in it, but those are some big names, especially in terms of the voiceover world as well.
Right.
Things like Wendy Lee, you might know her. She was in Ninja Scroll, which is what this director has previously worked on as well.
Okay.
Yes, I've been waiting to shout that out. I fucking love Ninja Scroll.
Shout out Ninja Scroll. Yeah, man, you saw that in the theaters recently too.
I did. I sure did.
That must
It
have
was
been
amazing.
awesome. Hell yeah, man. And but Wendy Lee is the voice of Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop.
Oh,
Pretty famously.
Mhm.
Yes.
hell yeah.
She's the English version voice of Kay from Akira. She's done a lot of stuff. A lot of these people have. Obviously, John DiMaggio, Bender. You probably famously know him as. Pamela Adlon, I've seen her in like a couple of shows and stuff like that. I know she's been on things. You probably know her face if you saw it as well. So I remember this was a pretty big deal for the cast that was voicing this.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With a bunch
Seems
of
like
people that
this
were in here.
may have been this was 2000, right? Yeah. So this would have been, I think, right after. The only anime references I can really make for this is some of the Miyazaki movies where they got like huge stars to do the American dubbing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like it was around that time because I remember that being a big thing.
Because it was just like voice actors that would do dubbings before, like, which I feel bad almost that they're losing work because they're not famous, but
sure.
These are at least famous voice actors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not just like Billy Bob Thornton or something.
Precisely. And I mean, you click on the majority of these ones and it will take you to a plethora of other shit they did, except for like the main guy, the guy who played D. Andrew Philpott does not have a big credits list.
He doesn't even have a photo on IMDb.
Yeah, one of those. I mean, he kind of does have a big enough credits list, but like he doesn't, like you said, doesn't have a photo, and it's like the roles that he's done are a little bit more minimal, from what I could tell.
Sure.
He was a
well, I
waiter
guess he doesn't
on an
have a
episode
lot
of
of
Frasier.
lines.
Yeah.
Ooh, which one?
I can tell you right now, that would be season one episode. No, wait, I don't know, man. I'll let you know after the show.
Well, I've certainly seen it multiple times.
I'm sure you have, man. Season 5, episode 1, Frasier's Imaginary Friend, 1997.
Mm-hmm.
So the waiter in that episode, that's D. 3 years later, he'd be getting this role here. It's D, baby. All right, let's go ahead and ask this, or let's go ahead and meter this, range this, put this into a bucket and spit it out.
Fatality.
Basically, on a scale of 1 to 10, Psycho to the Sadness, how gory is this film? We add that up by combining our consistency and intensity scores. It's low. I mean, realistically, there's not that much.
Yeah, for a movie that says Bloodlust, there. I mean, like you don't really get.
There's a lot of
there is blood-ish, but not a copious amount of blood.
right.
And there's definitely dismemberment and some horrific things, but it's not a whole lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, the intensity for me would probably be at about like and maybe this is just because it's like anime blinders, but like I had the intensity at maybe like a 2.5. Like there are some scenes of cleaving things off and blood and a bunch of stuff, but nothing super crazy. And then consistency is almost in the same boat, right? Like a 2 to a 2.5 as well, just because like it is trickled and consistent throughout, but it's not,
I would say the consistency is higher than the intensity, but it's still, yeah, I'm having trouble with it because I feel I'm having not necessarily anime blindness, but like monster blindness. I feel like most of the gore we see doesn't happen to humans.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Which is throwing me off.
No, and I was looking for it on purpose, this watch around and stuff, and it is low. So consistently there are a lot of things getting chopped or dismembered, and there's kind of like splashes, little quick splashes of blood, but compared to like even with, I think, maybe the original Vampire Hunter D and some of the other stuff, you're not getting a lot of like viscera and stuff bubbling out or anything like that, which can happen.
Even Ninja Scroll, not that there's much viscera, but there's certainly a ton more blood.
Right. So I'll give it a 2.5 for consistency and a 2 for intensity. Why not? 4.5 feels fine. That might, if it feels like high for some reason, but that's fine.
Yeah.
In my book. If you guys agree, I don't care.
Yeah.
No. Do you guys agree? I don't care.
Okay.
I think I'm at a 2.5 for consistency and a 1.5 for intensity. So I don't know how to math that.
That's fine. Math ain't for us. We just ask questions.
Who is the horror forward?
Some of those questions we're going to ask are, what kind of subgenre does this belong to? Well, anime. I said vampire, monster, gothic.
Gothic horror. This is also horror sci-fi.
Yes. There is, it doesn't show too much of it in this world, but it is this weird post-cybernetic world as well.
Yeah. It's like the world we know happened, it is hundreds, if not 1,000 years ago, and the world has been kind of terraformed into this weird medieval gothic.
And then like another like this almost gothic civilization arose, and then that's been kind of torn down a bit.
And then that's been also, exactly.
And it like combined this world of
I just saw it as like a fantasy elsewhere type of thing. I didn't get much sci-fi element to it because a lot of it's like supernatural.
Yeah, I think
the horses in particular, when you look at like what the horses are, like these like
they're wearing this like weird armor stuff.
Oh, no, they're robots,
or are they all robots?
No, they're like cyborgs essentially.
Okay,
they're half regular.
I thought they were
half
wearing like advanced armor of some kind or something.
It's. I've always seen it. Maybe I'm wrong, but like you see that again in the original as well.
Oh, totally.
And you see, I think it's just. Yeah, maybe I am thinking of it in the scope, but just the fact that
you're also
with the
more
rolling cars and stuff like that, and like just the weird kind of.
It does have like a post-apocalyptic thing to, I guess, going on.
It's very it's like gothic Mad Max.
You know what I mean?
It's supposed to take place thousands of years in the future, and I think I always got the impression that future was on Earth. So coming from a place that was our Earth that we knew it in some regards, because
I guess the sci-fi thing only throws me because it doesn't feel futuristic in any way.
Right. No, I don't disagree with that. The only reason to know that what it isn't even through this one is just either from reading or watching the first movie, which specifically I think states that it's like 20,000 years in the future or something.
Which, funny enough, for this recording, I accidentally watched the first one thinking I was watching Bloodlust, which actually honestly gave a little more insight into some of the more sci-fi stuff in this one.
I'm curious what version you watched, because I wasn't aware of this. There was a redub of it at one point that came out, and I watched that. I went to put it on, and that version was on recently. I'm like, why does this not seem familiar as the one I'm used to?
Yeah.
And then I looked into it, and there's a redub that changed a few things or whatever. But I have both still on DVD here. So that's the subgenres that fits into. How would you watch this one? I think
with friends. I think you may have. I think I may have watched this in the apartment when we all lived together.
Possible.
Very, very likely. I think just because of the mood of the movie, I think with friends, I think would be kind of a fun ride, because it is. I mean, it definitely actually has a lot more action elements to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So like having a group of friends watch this, I feel would be kind of fun. I don't know. In a party situation, though, you know what I mean, where I feel like that might get a little.
If it was on a party, it'd definitely get lost in the background. I think
absolutely,
but it'd be pretty.
But it wouldn't be bad. You might have a person or two that like sit down and watch it. You know what I mean?
Right? Like because it has enough action, and like it would draw enough people.
Draw you
like,
in.
Yeah, a couple people just like vibing out on the couch. Yeah, totally. I get it, and I agree with what you guys were saying there. Now, is this one for beginners? I said no if you're a general horror looker, but maybe. But yes, if you're specifically looking for anime,
if you're an
horror or
something
something,
fan,
yes,
it could absolutely be for beginners, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel that it is so, for a horror fan, I think the imagery in this movie is really cool, but I think it doesn't really, like, there was no jump scares. Like, it's not like it's not scary.
No, it's a monster.
It's more
action.
visually entertaining in a horror atmosphere than an actual horror movie. But I agree with you. As an anime, I mean, it's phenomenal.
But I also think if you're unfamiliar with anime, this wouldn't be good for beginners as a horror, because it's got a lot of just weird anime shit that if you're like not accustomed to, it could, that element to it, like what was this guy, why can he do this, what's happening now, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And I don't think there's anything in particular needed to know before going into this one. Realistically, it's because there's a first movie and there's a TV show, right? Is there a TV show? No, I haven't seen anything.
Oh, I assumed maybe it's just a movie then. I don't know. I thought the only person I know who's a Vampire Hunter D fan is you, so I thought that I got that from you.
No, I don't think.
Okay,
I didn't.
So
tell
it's
you
just
anything.
the first movie and then this.
There's something on there about Vampire Hunter D Resurrection on IMDb, but like Reddit 1 year ago, people are asking, where is this movie? This show. It's supposed to be a show. It's so I don't think it actually exists or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the original, so there's the original movie and the source material are books. So it's not like a manga, it's actual books.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yes. Which I have not read.
Boo.
Yeah. Sorry.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay, that's fine. Neither do I. I failed.
Right.
Interestingly enough, our next movie is also based on a novel.
But that's kind of cool, though. I feel like because it's not based off of a manga, that you can take a little more artistic liberties with some of the stylings and stuff. You know what I mean? So there's not like a heavy manga base where like you have to be true to a certain look, or
the source material still had imagery associated with it. There was always a strong.
Oh, okay.
Like if you look it up, and it is a little bit more
long-legged. Tall man.
A long-legged tall man. Like you see, they have a very D kind of looks very similar to this. He is a lot prettier. His feminine features are even more prominent, and just like his look and the kind of original drawings of him, and the drawings in general are very kind of flowy, and I don't know, they're very interesting.
When I watched this, I was like, I started noticing a lot of similarities to Ninja Scroll, so I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's the same director. But one of the things is the lead has like a pointed chin, kind of, in both movies. And a lot of the male villains have like big square jaws, which is an interesting thing. And the other reason why it really stood out to me was the way they do lighting in this movie is very similar to Ninja Scroll.
Oh, true. Yeah.
I could see that this time around. I was watching that and noticing that I think the similarities more so than I had previously before.
Sure. Yeah. Same. Because I think I have seen this before, but once a long time ago, and probably not sober.
So we hear something popping off at the window. That's a fapping mothed gentleman over there, and he is trying to deliver some warnings. Anything that you guys think?
In comparison to our other films, not really, to be totally honest. It's pretty mild when it comes to offending people.
So I think this will be our one anime without warning from the Mothman.
Without fapping?
Yeah.
Gently fapping at or change your door.
Fapping at my window.
Wait, is this a fapless film? Did we finally cover a fapless film?
By Mothman.
I think we cover a lot of fapless films, but
I think we have.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's get away from that. Cut into the movie and get into the goo. Spoiler zone. Wrong, man. Spoiler zone branding. Come on, I want people to think of that whenever they hear that song.
Hear that song?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard that song since we've been doing the drop.
Right. It's been years. All right, so let's take us to real quick. IMDb behind the scenes. Not that much for it. I did sprinkle some into the actual script, so we only have a couple up top. Unlike almost every other anime in existence, English is Bloodlust's original language.
Whoa.
The English language track for this film was created first, then the Cantonese and Japanese tracks were done next.
Wow.
That's cool.
That is an interesting tidbit. Just because I've never even heard of that.
Right. The movie is based on creator Hideyuki Kikuchi's third Vampire Hunter D novel, Demon Death Chase.
Ooh.
In an interview with the audio post supervisor Terry D. Ambrosio, the film director Yoshiaki Kawajiri sent them videos of old traditional Japanese films where he wanted to get the sound of the samurai sword because he wanted something very traditional Japanese. So
Cool.
get that fucking...
Yeah, I like that.
Do
You
it like
got
the
that?
samurais.
Mhm.
Apparently, the official trailer was done by Michael
Donald.
McConaughey, D's English voice actor for the original Vampire Hunter D 1985.
Oh, cool.
I was like,
Okay.
okay. Interesting. All right. Emi Shinohara and Wendy Lee voiced the Japanese and English versions of each other's character for this film. And Yoshiaki
Good for them.
Kawajiri's other film, Ninja Scroll.
Cool.
Neat.
When I saw
Neat.
Ninja Scroll in theaters, it was the first time I'd heard it in Japanese with subtitles because I watch anime with dubbing if I can. It's weird because if it's a real movie, I won't do it. But because animation kind of doesn't totally match up anyway, I'm fine with it.
Right.
Oh, sure. This is, as we noticed as well, included among Letterboxd's top 250 horror films. One of the big reasons why I picked this one is because it does sit up there.
Is it?
Nice.
Yeah, it's
you know where
high
it
up on the
lands?
list. I can pull it up.
I'll pull it up. You lead.
You
I'll
pull it
find
up. Okay. So I guess we got to bring this in some way, and I'm glad it what's here. In the novel, the trauma of having been raped by her brothers and insistence that they lay claim on her while taking advantage of her even in times of injury with no regard to her emotions has scarred Leila, leaving her broken. Only after she met Dee does she finally recover. Classic
Whoa.
anime trope of
Oh.
throwing in some rape there. But no,
Yeah.
they kept that out of the movie.
But that's from a novel, right?
That's from the
a novel?
novelization.
Is
That's
her
from
wait, her
the third
brothers
book.
or the brothers that
brothers.
she's with the other vampire hunters? Those brothers or
Yes, yeah, the Marcos brothers, I would assume. Yeah,
Oh.
those
I mean, yeah, that's
guys
what I
she's
would assume.
traveling
Yeah,
with. Yeah,
all it just
Oh,
says is by her
no.
brother. So yeah,
it would have to be.
oh goo.
Yeah,
yeah, a lot
good.
good here. I'm glad they left that out. It makes this
Yeah.
movie a little bit more fun.
Totally.
I'm glad with the trauma that she has being different. All right, Sam's still looking up. So our history with this one here, I saw this in the movie theater when it first came out. What's that,
wow.
Sam?
25.
That's what I thought. I knew it was up
That's
there.
fucking high as shit. Get Out is 17.
Look at that. Yeah, it's up there. It's up there. A lot of people like it. So yeah, I saw it in theaters when it first came out. I was super stoked for it because I was a fan of Vampire Hunter D. So when I heard about it, I was all on board. Went there, got it, saw it, bought the DVD, watched it.
So
Took
good.
his samurai sword in the yard, cut some fruit.
I was doing that since, well, yeah, I mean,
Since I saw the first one.
yeah, right, exactly, man. Come on now. Yeah. I mean, there's not much else to it. Sam.
History. I think that we may have watched this together. Some parts seem to maybe kind of familiar. Maybe I watched the first one too. I don't know. But Brian is the only person I've known who's been a fan of this. And I feel like I've known that about him since we met when we were like, 18, or he was 18. I was probably 17.
Oh, word.
Mhm.
I'd never seen these. I've always heard of them, and I've seen occasional posters at friends' houses in high school.
Sure.
But no, this is actually my first go around. And hilariously, because I picked the wrong movie, I actually got to watch.
Yeah, now you've seen both of them. Yeah, and that's everything there is.
Yeah.
For movies wise.
It was it's weird sometimes because anime, I'm going to be totally honest with you, is like my film Achilles heel. Like I don't watch a lot of anime stuff, and I hate to say, for the majority of what I watch, I'm just not fully engaged with. And I was pleasantly surprised with watching this and how engaged I just like the animation style. I thought was really great, especially in comparison.
I love the animation style. Last
episode's
Soul
Station.
Well, because of all the painted backgrounds and everything. It looks amazing. I'm definitely more into anime than you from the sounds of it. There's plenty that I do like, but there's also plenty that turns me off like instantly, you know?
Oh, totally.
So,
yeah.
But then on the other hand, I was thinking about this the other day, Hayao Miyazaki's probably my favorite director and has more movies that I think are like some of the best movies ever. Than anybody else. So,
wow.
But I'm not super into anime like beyond that. You know, I love Ninja Scroll. Kira's great. There's some great movies. There's some great shows. I love like Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo. But
totally.
I guess we never talked about our anime backgrounds coming into the anime month.
Right. Real loose.
Loose as a goose.
Thanks for giving that little bit of history on your anime experience, guys. Mine itself is probably a little bit more entrenched and deep into anime than I think you guys were, just in general. I didn't watch a lot because again, this was growing up, 30 years ago or something like that. When I definitely was middle school when I got really into anime. However long ago that is. And I didn't have.
What were you watching?
Gundam Wing. My brother had a VHS of probably Akira, definitely Vampire Hunter D.
Nice.
And another one called Armitage the Third. And so I definitely watched those a whole bunch. That kickstarted a lot of it. But then at the time, it was so hard to get anime.
Get stuff. Yeah.
I know a lot of one of the big ways, especially for things like Gundam Wing and Dragon Ball, which a lot of people were into and everything, was Toonami on Cartoon Network. But I didn't have that.
Yep.
So my friends were talking about it. I had to wait till like a VHS came out of it that I could go and buy. So then I could watch like the newest episodes of Gundam or something like that I was into.
Right.
But yeah, that was it. Did a lot of watching anime into high school, but not like a wide scope. It was still pretty.
Did you have a fave limited out of all of them? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Or just equally, just kind of like just
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I mean, Cowboy Bebop
that would be
was
my guess for you.
Definitely a big one in there. I mean, as was for I think
Cowboy
a lot
Bebop's
of people.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, love that. And
Samurai Champloo eventually later after that. Again, it was Samurai Champloo that took forever to finally get.
Yeah,
that was probably a bootleg I imagine bought somewhere at a con.
Oh, that I had when we lived together. It was a bootleg.
Yeah. That's how I got a lot of the other shit. MegaCon specifically, back in the days where the cons were a lot more. There were a lot of bootleg stands and a lot of
so many.
Especially for anime, it was like a thriving market because it was hard to come across.
I'll finally be able to get whatever. So that's that. That's good enough. That's our history with it, and I think with that we should go ahead and get into the movie.
Yeah,
which fucking opens up right away.
Yes, it does.
This haunting moonlit countryside, big moon,
and
a whole lot of crosses. Like there's
so many crosses,
which I guess don't really do their job. Maybe they don't do their job against such a high level vampire.
Well, yeah.
There's definitely there's like a tiramisu of kind of just like different levels of vampiric creatures that we see throughout this.
Yeah. Certainly,
and instantly. After coming off of our other movie, I was like, wow, this looks so much better.
Oh yeah, I was like the second I put it on, and in all confession, again I switched up the movie, so I watched 85 and then the one from 85, and then I watched the Bloodlust. It's wow. I like literally was like, okay, cool. Like it was after the Soul Station. This is a breath of fresh air when it comes to just art in general, because the whole fucking movie is so stunning.
Yeah. I'd say compared to a lot of anime and a lot of stuff out there.
Sure.
It ranks high on the aesthetic and how
Beauty
it looks
list.
and the beauty list for sure. So as I said, like these crosses, they ain't doing their job too well because they start to like twist and contort all suddenly, which is
So
just really cool.
Bend. Yeah.
Just you get the feel of this presence coming through. Water
Like,
starts
you see
freezing.
Sweeping through all the crosses. They're like, it's like a depth of field perspective thing. So as audience, you're like, oh, something bad's coming.
Yes.
Probably vampire related. Ominous shit, I said. And then we meet a young woman by the name of Charlotte laying in bed when suddenly a vampiric presence overtakes her. A menacing, mysterious figure, Meyer Link, appears. I don't really learn their names quite yet, but
Yes.
I love the scene where like the door, like the windows are about to kind of like, it has like that shutter, and then all the roses wilt and die, and then the window just gets blown open. Was so cool.
Yeah, that's some more of that, like I'd say building into the crosses breaking and the water freezing, just the effect that this presence, this vampire
These horses,
has.
black horses in the
With
black
their
carriage and the red eyes.
Their cyber eyes and shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, love it. I love the whole aesthetic to it. And you get a lot more of that, as we mentioned, I think, before in the first one, with this whole feel of this world where it's kind of like, that's kind of a different thing, as we were talking about. It starts very gothic and almost medieval looking, but then when the horses come through, they have like Cylon looking eyes.
Yeah.
And their teeth, their mouths on those ones, now that I think about it, look
like
machinish,
like robotic. I think that's the coolest thing about this series, is that like it is horror science fiction, but it's just nods of it. So it doesn't,
it's almost
like
steampunk.
Almost.
Right.
Yeah. Very, very close to, you know what I mean? Where it's like there's aspects of future tech, but integrated so awesomely into this universe that it doesn't seem out of place.
Yeah, and it's integrated into like things from the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in scope, just because I looked it up, Vampire NRD takes place in the year 12,090.
Okay.
So that's roughly 10,000 years in the future.
Okay, so just a few years away.
So I love it because, it seems to be built in this world where many civilizations have risen and fallen. And the most recent one was like this weird cybernetic goth cryptic weird world.
It reminded me of and it's such a weird comparison, but Batman the animated series, where it was like if Dark Deco had just been there forever. You know what I mean? Like, because like you have all this weird future tech in that series, but they've just stuck in the 1920s Art Deco experience and just made it real dark. I figure that with like the Vampire D like universe, where it's like, okay, we want like Gothic Baroque, but we're also going to build rocket ships. And also like space stations
out of castles.
You know what I mean?
And I
what
like
a
how
fucking insane.
That almost seems to be falling in shambles and crumbles, because eventually we get to like these interstates, like these big, what look like used to be roads, but they're also very Gothic
bridges.
Looking, contemporary Gothic looking bridges that some are deteriorating, some are, so it's a very interesting world to live in, which takes us to our opening of leads us into the title card, which is the distant future. Vampires rule the night, but their numbers are dwindling and so on. It mentions bounty hunters, and one in particular referred to as a Dunpeel, a half human, half vampire. So the film accidentally mistranslated the word Dhampir, Dhampir, to Dunpeel in the English language. It's incorrect. Dhampir is the actual term used to describe a half human, half vampire being. The original term originating in Albania. Dam, Dham, or Dam, means teeth. And pyre, Prire, means to drink, thus the whole term alluding to the vampire practice of drinking with teeth from Balkan folklore. So there's this weird mistranslation that happened with these, and I could have swore that it also happened with I think it happened in some of the books or something, because it definitely happened with the original.
Oh,
I always knew this growing up as a dun peel. That was the term in my head because of what I learned from here. But I always thought it was like almost specific to, I've never heard it anywhere else. So it's like, for some reason, that's what they call them in this
world.
So that is a thing here. It could apply to, technically Blade is one, but like they've never called it that.
He could have been called anything and I would have been like, okay, yeah, that's fine. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
So mistranslation led to the word dun peel being used so much, and anyone who would be like, what the fuck is that, or know the word that it's supposed to be. That's what happened. So wild. It's very, very odd, but there you go. And then we get to our title card. Vampire Hunter D. Beautiful. Again, all beautiful artwork, everything. Because even that, like, leading into the future thing, it's like leading off into space and like debris. Gothic debris in
of like
space.
It's like literally like a space station that looks like a fucking cathedral. It reminds me.
It looks ancient too. It looks like it's so in cool. ruins.
In ruins. It that kind of architecture reminds me of like Warhammer 40K. It's just like flying cathedrals in space. Like it just gives, but like this is very like Castlevania looking, which is just fucking,
sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then that takes us to our next little scene, which is basically D arriving and getting introduced. He rides into this old rundown village, house, church, cathedral, not cathedral, but thing.
Yeah.
And we come to learn that he's meeting with Charlotte's father, the woman that was abducted, and her brother.
And he's got like 100 guns on him too. I like the fact that they literally had a bead on him from the horizon line.
He's known. He's like this known presence. So they're like, it's like calling in him, and they're like, they're not taking any risk because obviously he's half vampire. So it's like, can he be trusted?
Yes.
So Charlotte's father and brother plead with him to rescue her from Meyer Link. They emphasize big reward. I think they offer her first $10 million or something like that, and then they essentially double it.
He's like, nah, bro. That's not enough. Not enough. That's no. And then going up to 20 million. And then I love the dynamic that like when they're really honestly discussing, like if she's turned, then you need to
the dad's like, you kill her.
Yeah.
What if it's too late? Then bring her back dead or whatever.
Yeah.
Bring her body back. Brother's like, Dad, I can't believe you're saying that. Oh my God.
They also let him know that they hired some other bounty hunters known as the Marcus Brothers. He accepts the mission by grabbing that bag of money and heads on his way. Now this takes us into our parallel story of the Marcus Brothers rolling along. They include Borgoff, Nolt, Grove, Kyle, and Leila are all of our characters here. All have their own kind of thing.
Their own theme, their aesthetic. Like one guy's got a big old mace hammer with like a faceplate. I also
they're
like
in that Dead Reckoning.
Yes, exactly. They're in a Vampire Dead Reckoning.
Rolling through fucking town. And I like this part too, where there's some seemingly drunk dude like passed out by a fountain, and the door opens, and you just hear the voice. And it's just like the grumbly voice asking questions, and all of a sudden a giant meaty hand comes out and grabs him by the head. Like so good.
But dude, and then the turn
to reveal he's been bitten.
Holy fucking
you guys
shit!
Like that?
I was not prepared, guys. I was not prepared for the feral creature looking vampires that are in this town, and I was so on board because I think like, I mean, again, I prepped myself on the first one, but it's like having like. You think of like vampires as like the vampire lord, you know what I mean? But like having an entire town of these underlings was just so dope. And then I'm just gonna call it Dead Reckoning. When Dead Reckoning like literally hits cross lights on them is like, oh my God.
I thought that was so cool.
Dope.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Like just all the cross shit that it has on it, which like stuns them, but then they start like ripping at the I like how we're just going to call it Dead Reckoning now. They're just ripping at Dead Reckoning, pulling off shit from it. And then we also get, they call them too. They call them zombies a whole bunch in this one, but it is like they are this like this zombie-ish version of a vampire.
They're almost like vampire zombies. Yeah. Like if vampires died and came back as zombies.
Like vamp ghouls or something like that. Yeah.
So As we said, you kind of mentioned what Nolt's big old hammer. Borgoff has his arm crossbow thing, and he's kind of the leader.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle has these spinny hand blades.
Blades,
Yeah.
Leila has a fucking hand cannon, basically this gun that shoots giant
God.
fucking blasts at him. Like, dude, when they so all these zombie vampires start rolling in, so they have to start fighting, and we get to a little
cool action scene.
Yeah.
little action and each of the characters showing off their skills. So that's a whole bunch of shit. I love when Leila blows away like zombies and like their heads just like fucking evaporate with like a.
I don't know what fight it was, but there was the shot where it's like in between two of them, and then like it's like half and half of each one of them as they fall. Like you see like the giant scope of this fucking gun. It's like the exit wound is like the size of like 3 basketballs.
So that's great. Nolt his hammer, and then there's Grove, but we don't really know much at him. He's just like this very sickly fellow laying around.
Yes.
Yeah.
They haven't been
laying inside Dead Reckoning.
He's like in a hospice bed, just strung up. He's like, "Go fight! Yes, I believe in you."
So I love Borgoff being able to shoot, like 300 arrows off his fucking thing real quick.
Oh, the way it rains down. Is that at this part?
Cool. Yeah. Just raining down on all of them. And this is when they're all just showing off their moves and shit. And then you get the last the last zombie running away. Vampire zombie.
And he's just following it, trained on it, and it shoots the arrow and it like curves around the tree. And you don't see anything, you just hear it. Yeah. Rad.
So good. And then this leads to the fucking imagine being able to introduce yourself like this somewhere. Borgoff hears something like clinging, and he's like, "Oh, something's coming." But up this way, he's like, okay. He's like, "I'm gonna try to show off." He's like, "I can nail this thing." Like tries to aim up with it. He's like going up 30 degrees north southwest and shoots his arrow off or whatever. Flies through. We get a little bit of arrow view, like coming in on the tail of that as it goes through everything.
All Evil Dead.
Comes up to fucking badass D, jumping up or just like flailed up on his horse, crutching that arrow, and just give it a little.
Just looks at him.
Oh my god.
This is when his cape comes up, right?
Yeah, his cape's all over the fucking air.
Like giant bat wings.
Yeah.
My god, Batman would be jealous of.
Oh, absolutely.
The bat symbolism here. It looks so cool. And then he just fucking like snaps the thing. And Borgoff, I love how Borgoff just starts like clapping. He's super impressed. And it just breaks the tension a little bit here. He's like, "Oh my god, splendid, way to go, good job. We should join up and be teammates." And D's
that's a pretty good Borgoff.
And he's like, "What's your name?" And D's just like, D. He just rolls off,
rides off. Oh, I've heard of him.
So good. And then Borgoff tells some story about saving shit, and the boys have a chuckle while Leila is sick of it and runs off on her motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like a one wheel, but giant, giant one wheel.
A giant one wheel. It's pretty dope.
It's good. It's like the Batmobile, like where it goes from like
defying.
It's future. It's the future past.
Mm-hmm. Days of future past.
See, this is what I like about this. Like so far into the future, is that like I don't have suspenders of disbelief because everything is fucking new and weird. So it's like anything they have in here, like there's magic, there's tech. I'm like, I'm for all of it. I like this. Like, all right. It's a unicycle that you.
Yeah. I love that you get some like you start with like, well, D on his horse, you get the horse and carriage of Meyer Link and everything. And then you get these people rolling up in Dead Reckoning and Leila on her motorcycle. It's like this mix of the cyber and the gothic, the mystic and all that stuff is, like you said, it's fun and allows for the suspension of disbelief to be so much higher. Mm-hmm. Good job. I love you. This scene. Next, we get D traveling off. This introduces D's hand, which I didn't mention. The voice actor or the person who does the voice of D is, you know him probably as the therapist, the hypnotist in Office Space. That's what I first think of him.
Oh my god, yes.
The voice of D?
Not D, excuse me.
Like D's hand. D's hand.
Yeah.
Not to be mistaken for D's nuts.
That was played by, I just have to look it up who played D's nuts.
I'm sorry. It was It was low hanging
Oh,
fruit,
man.
but I had to do it.
No, wasn't now. They've dropped.
I believe it was played by Mike Hawk.
Can we say how gross the hand is?
You can say whatever you want.
What's the
about
deal
it.
with the hand? Is that established ever?
It's a parasite.
Would
It's
I know if I
technically
saw
a
the first one?
parasite. So it's
Okay.
this parasitic thing that is on D.
Demonic entity or something like that.
I don't know too much past
Vampiric entity. Yeah. It is so, oh God. You know, when you get creature and old wrinkles right, it's like the folds on the folds of the folds go perfectly in with his palm. It is so gross looking. It's like a fucking goblin shooting out of your hand. You know what I mean? Without the really crazy big nose.
It's particularly old. It doesn't look quite this grotesque in the first one, if I remember correctly. It's a little bit more just on the palm of his hand in the original.
Like permanently.
But this
right?
one
'Cause it,
has is like raised up, it seems like. A lot more
Especially,
animated
like, when
face.
Isn't it when he starts like sniffing or like smelling the
tracks? He's like, I can't breathe.
He's just like shoving. He's like, get in there.
Yeah, he's a little wisecracker. And he's like, trying to get the tracks. So that leads them to this, again, another one of these beautiful set pieces in this movie, this big old fucking desert where they're traveling on this like gothic looking interstate highway system until there's like this giant vast desert where we get all these sand mantas, which he's like, oh, stinky sand mantas. I hate those things. I'm like, calm down, dude.
Oh my God. Like, whoa. Like, what bad experience did you have to constitute that? It's really cool.
Like sea
like,
lions.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. It's like, it crosses like a herd of like, I don't know. I got like Western out of it. You know what I mean? Where it's almost like a herd of buffalo, but like in a sandscape with like the ruins of a highway. I like that, like, there's on-ramps and off-ramp type stuff that's, like, just broken into this, like, vastness of nothing.
I like that he's like, I'm just going to fucking ride over these things.
Yes!
It's like, I got to go that way. This is the way to do it. I can't go under the sand mantas. And then they just bounce and jump around and do that successfully across them. It's great. And then
it's
beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
And then that just takes us to, again, these more sweeping traveling. This is very much of an adventure movie at this point. We get some beautiful waterfall shots of Steve going past on the horse, trying to track Meyer Link, which does lead them to eventually this forest setting where we see this giant, quote unquote, invisible cube in the forest, what's known as a resting house. What'd you guys think of the resting house?
It's weird. I was, it's ingenious because it's like one of those where it's like an invisible building, but like tech wise, you know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, so this whole thing is just a camouflaged skyscraper. But I also like the eye lasers. Like, it's like this weird, it gives vibes of like esoteric shit where it's like, you could have just had normal ass lasers, but you have to be fucking goth baroque. So we're going to have just fucking weird, like all-seeing eyeballs just shooting lasers. Also the fact that he's flipping fucking
I was going to say
pebbles.
Those lasers hate rocks. Thank goodness.
Yes.
Otherwise they would have blasted D.
Having seen this so much, I'm like, what is the logic they could have came up with here? And I guess the multiple, maybe because it's faster and he's moving slower, so the lasers track the faster. I'm like, I've seen this so many times. Like, what am I going to think about differently?
So many lasers shooting at once. Why are they not shooting him? It's insane.
Because he fucking knows, man. Because
apparently he also picked up a lot more pebbles than I realized when we saw him pick up a handful of pebbles.
16
he
pockets
keeps going.
full of fucking rocks.
Well, his hand ate a shit ton, and they're throwing him up.
Oh, that's right. His hand demon is barfing
like,
pebbles.
So he's able to make his way up to the cube here, and I like when he puts his hand on the glass, and he's like, find a door.
What do you see?
And he's like, oh, well, it looks like there could be two people in there, whatever. But he's like walking around, no door, still no door. And then all of a sudden, as the sun is quickly setting, Meyer Link is awakening. We see Leila zooming up on her motorcycle as she blasts through the laser defense system and is able to ride the motorcycle onto the wall, sideways onto the house. as a door
Cling.
opens and Meyerlink's carriage comes flying out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ridiculous, but
Something.
it looked great.
It's wild. I'm like, okay.
It is wild.
It is so. I mean, like if you had asked me if I ever thought I'd see a film with like basically like a motorcycle and a horse-drawn carriage in like a Fast and Furious fucking like defying logical gravity like cross scene, never.
Mhm.
Then this, I was like, it makes sense. This universe, it makes so much sense to me.
Kind of
So-
get there in RRR. There's just no carriage.
That's true.
That's true. And I like when the carriage come flying out and Dee's hand starts screaming about door, there's the door.
Over there.
He found it finally, funny hand of his. Leila shoots a rocket at Meyerlink, but he was able to block it by like hardening his cape and reflecting the debris back at Leia, spattering her motorcycle and injuring her in that.
Now that's a good vampire. He knows
Yeah.
what's up.
He's tough as shit. And at night, taking him on is a mistake.
It's, oh my God. It is such the vampire lords that you see in these series of films, it's just so like immediate boss level. You know what I mean? Where like
Nice.
they are virtually indestructible. And then the idea of like hunting them means like in a lot of different movies, like say like John Carpenter's Vampires or just like normal vampire hunters, is that Fright Night that we've covered. You know what I mean? Like teenagers were able to kind of defeat a vampire that's been living for X amount of time. In this universe where it's like the older they get, like this is like a hardened diamond. Like this is going to be like, there's a reason why you're getting $20 million to do this, because there's a huge fact that you may not be coming back from it.
Definitely on the vampiric council, this one.
Oh yes.
So Dee chases after Meyerlink, confronts him on his carriage. They have a fun little fight. We also learned from Meyer that Charlotte is with him by her own free will.
Mm-hmm.
And they fight a little bit more. And just as Dee is like swinging his sword in, Charlotte calls out to Meyer. Dee notices this and gets distracted, allowing Meyer to send Dee flying off the carriage.
Yeah, this whole fight on top of the carriage is fucking rad.
Again, looks cool, looks beautiful.
Looks great.
And then again, when he's like, he falls off the carriage and like puts his hand down onto the ground to brace himself. And his hand's just like, my nose.
Oh my God, it's just his face hand is just getting road
Just
rash.
grounded into the
like,
oh. Dee's at this point now traveling back past the resting house. He sees Leila laying injured there. He continues on and his hand's joking about, oh, look at all that tempting blood over there. Come on, you know you want to. And then Leila says something like in her sleep, she's like, Mother. This stops Dee and his hand's like, oh, I was just kidding. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. And then he does the nice thing.
Yes, he does. Leila regains consciousness just as Dee is finishing bandaging her up. She's not happy about it though.
What?
She's kind of
You
pissed.
trying to see my titties?
Right? You can't just go. I mean, he helped you.
Is correct. Yes,
You
like
can't-
you were mortally wounded. I think there's a few slight exceptions, and
This
being
is
mortally
absolutely
wounded.
he wasn't molesting her. He
No,
was
it was actually just like making
Yeah.
sure you didn't die.
Well, knowing what her
and he was
original
going to leave her to
backstory-
die.
yes,
That's true. Yeah, he originally didn't care until she proclaimed she needed her mother.
mother.
I do like she says, what are you, my mother? And he's like, well, you called out for her before. Thought you might be needing her. Burn. And then he like leaves.
Ooh, that sweet.
And then the
D-bird.
Marcus brothers roll up and help her out. After picking up Leila, the brothers are figuring out where to go next. They mention something called the Barbary, and that's where they think they need to be headed.
Mm.
Barbary
So
cool.
they eventually roll up to something, which is what looks like Meyer's carriage, just sitting there, not really doing anything. They think it's sus, but they're like, well, we got to go check it out. Nolt, Borgoff, and Kyle move up slowly. Nolt goes up to the carriage, takes a big old swing with his big old hammer, and the carriage turns to like fabric.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
And
goose. I like the fact that they asked
Also
him to
get
do
shot and cut at the same time. Like
Yeah.
they all attack it. I like we see each weapon go through it.
I do like the fact they asked him to do reconnaissance, and his version of reconnaissance was just to walk up to it and hit it with a hammer as hard as humanly possible.
That is good.
So they're all confused, and then they hear laughter. A voice starts talking about the Barbary, and a hand emerges from the shadows and pierces a blade into Nolt's shadow, hurting him.
Cool.
Nolt slams his hammer against the creature, but it does nothing. And then he mentions to watch out for the shadow as blood comes like chugging out of his chest. And then he dies standing up.
Yes, he
Which I
dies
thought was
standing
cool.
up, and I like the fact that this vampiric assassin doesn't actually have to touch you. He just has to like touch your shadow, and in turn, like voodoo doll style, fucking just pierce you. So cool. Shadow
control. Another shadow play. This guy's big into shadow play. He moves within the shadows. We see more of him later, where he's seemingly like swimming in the shadows.
Yeah. Wasn't there a character? No, was it Ninja Scroll? No.
Yeah. There's a shadow guy and
had a shadow assassin in that one too. Yeah.
One of the what is it? 7 demons of Kimon. However many demons of Kimon.
Yeah.
There's a shadow one.
You got to have some good shadow play there. So then this does take us to the Barbary as Dee arrives, and we see the windmills and Dee's hand talking about, I don't know, what the Barbary is, all this shit. Really cool, fun shot of all these weird, creepy, funny little critters and creatures sneaking and sulking about as
I love this
comes
place.
in.
Yeah. It's every monster that you would fight in D&D just hanging out. Like they're all just like looking around. Like there's so many different creatures, and like I think I saw a Gorgon. Like it was.
It reminds me of like I don't know, a 90s movie where they're going to like a vampire club. I don't know how to explain it. It feels very like of the. Well, actually not of the time, because it feels like it's like 6 or 7 years before the movie came out. Like this should have been 93 or 94. And you're going in and like looking at all these freaks. Ooh.
There's a, in, I don't think 60s. Anyways, there's a Vincent Price movie that is literally called Monster Club. And you go to a club filled with all different kinds of monsters, but it's the worst special effects. Like they're using rubber masks and like glued on eyeballs and stuff. But
I think in here we see some, since you saw the first movie, you remember those snake women?
Yes.
There's some snake women within the audience here too. So there's a lot of like fun, like looking things that we've seen before if you see the first movie here. So Dee makes his way to meet with the Barbary Elder, a small little old fellow that rides around on a unicycle.
Hello.
I like the one wheel.
You are quite beautiful, if I do say so myself. I hope you don't mind. Do you have the line?
No, I love that. Yeah, it's something like that. It's wonderful, and I like the little goblin on the side. We could just get a shot of this like dude, this little goblin creature that like, and sticks his tongue out and like, I don't know what the hell.
I love the back and forth between them in this, where he's like, "Okay, yeah, you can defend, but I'm going to kill a lot of you," and I think that would be a real pity because I don't really want to do that. So
yeah. This whole thing, like, it's like, he's like, I'm going to get what I want out of this. It's just, what are you going to lose?
I want you to end your protection of Meyer. What's his name?
Meyer Link.
Meyer Link.
Yeah. From a distance, we see that Kyle is watching what's going on and asks Borgoff if they are ready to go in. And they have no choice at this point. And we learn what Grove is here to help out with. And
Grove was also like, don't go in there, right?
Yeah. Like, please don't go in there.
They need Grove's help, so they inject him with a little something juice, and that takes us back to Dee bargaining again. It's like he's bargaining with how they're gonna fight, and we get a little introduction to Benji, Caroline, and Mashira.
Okay. I have a question for you guys.
Yes,
specifically so I think in the first movie there are 3 henchmen to a lord, but again in Afro Samurai there are always like 3 henchmen, and then there's the bad guy, and then like it's always in pairs of 3, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's like a story, like a typical story structure.
Answer.
Yeah, there's so many animes that I've seen.
Lots of things comes in 3s.
Yeah,
you know,
comedy, henchmen. That's the old saying. Bring me your henchmen and your comedy in 3s.
Hey.
So
because then you got the big bad as 4. So you get 3 little pigs.
That's true.
And the big bad wolf.
That's 4. You get the mama bear, little bear, papa bear, big bear, Goldie bear.
Look, Goldilocks. That's 4.
That's 4. You know, those stories.
The three horsemen of the apocalypse and the big bad horsemen of the apocalypse.
There's 4.
See?
There you go. It all tracks.
It all makes sense now.
Benji is our shadowy man, shadowy powered fella. Carolyn, we don't really know much about her yet, but she's this got a lot of hair and
yeah. She
big
gave
hair
me
lady.
like
big hair lady.
Was it Shriek? Was the symbiote that it was Shriek the one that used like the
Yeah, I could get that.
Yeah.
I feel that. And Mashira is a wolf-looking man, just a very hairy-looking fella. You're like, I wonder if he's a werewolf.
I was like,
eyes.
I'm like, okay, that's gonna be our werewolf.
And he's ready to go, but
Future
the elder wants to do
werewolf.
things his way.
Yes.
But then suddenly, out of the darkness comes this little glowing figure coming in. You're like, what the hell's that? It's this flying ethereal
This
Grove
is awesome.
with his little balls of light as he's just like,
I
stoned out of
fucking
his
love
mind.
this guy.
It's amazing. Grove is awesome.
I like that he uses like astral projection as a weapon. Is wild. And I'm curious, like after watching this twice, I kind of was just like, is he so euphoric because he has to be that doped up in his human body to like astrally, because they have to like inject his body, and it seems like he's on like morphine or something fucking insane. So is he just like a super high ghost just floating in going like, I'm high as
Yes, I
balls?
think to some extent. I think that
I really haven't thought about it much. I'm just like, there's a sick guy when you put stuff in him. He's a light guy that does cool stuff.
Right.
I can only assume anytime he does this, that's a strain on him. He's probably done this a lot in his life. So each time he does it, he probably needs
It
more
takes
of
his
this
toll on him.
Oh, yeah.
stuff or whatever. And yeah, either the stuff or just being in that state could probably give you that euphoric feel. And that's why he's just fucking looks like he's loving life as he's just going through blasting all these monsters.
And
with his light
goddamn,
beams.
those light
Fucking
beams.
annihilates.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's fucking
Like-
strong, man.
It was really funny because like you hear like it shoot through like once or twice, and then I'm like, oh wow, I wonder how bad this, and then like half of the building goes up, and you're just like, oh, okay. So this guy is like the atomic bomb solution for this for this crew.
I really like, I would assume it's at some point in this part, maybe when the baddies are like escaping, Grove shoots all his lights at at the shadow guy, and it like he opens up and it goes like straight through him, like just infinitely
into a void of
He's like,
sorts.
oh
yeah,
fuck.
I just think that's very cool.
Oh, totally. I also like that it hurt him, but it didn't kill him. Like you could tell, like right after
Yeah, he's
he
like-
went like, ugh!
Yeah, like a little heartburn.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
And then the carriage runs off with Maya, Charlotte, and Benji, Carolyn, and Mashira. D chases after them. So does Grove. Carriage gets away. So Grove, I guess, turns to stop D. And D's able to like outmaneuver him and slice the apparition in half, which severs the connection. I said is enough to
Yes. But
cut
kind
it
of
off.
fucked him up too, because he's like woke. He's like, "Ah!"
yeah, the way it splits.
Yeah.
So
he did not
cool
wake
with
up
the
happy.
animation. So beautiful. D continues on, catches up to the carriage, but Benji is able to trap him in a shadow cloth trap thing. This
Yep.
is when we
Yeah.
see his horse fall down, and it's like
Oh, I
it
felt bad
dies, but
about
it's
that.
this like combination of mechanics and
It's like a
viscera.
cyborg.
Yeah, see, at the time I thought it was like armor,
Plating armor.
and
Could be.
organs, but now I think
It's
you
more
guys
like
are right.
RoboCop. I
Yeah.
feel like RoboCop was a horse.
Precisely. I think that's what it like.
Like-
The original models came from
Mhm.
RoboCop.
And I like this weird
Robo-horse.
imprisonment because it's like
Robo Horse Cop.
Robo Horse Cop.
Horse Cop. I do like this imprisonment though because it's like this weird like floating fucking like
Void world.
void
Again, like,
embryonic sack thing that now he's on the side of a mountain just stuck in.
that'd be funny if you saw the light that Grove shot by just goes by him. He's like, oh hey, there's that
Just
light.
floats by. What the fuck was that?
Other random shit in the void. It just gets stuck in there. You see like, I don't know, a bus sign fly by.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So the Marcus brothers, they continue their pursuit, are able to catch up to the carriage as well. They encounter Caroline, who stands in front of the speeding truck. disappears before getting hit. Borgoff sends Kyle to go look for her. He's like, did you see where that lady just went or whatever?
Yeah. It's like, I think they're under the impression that they hit her, like that they ran her over. And they're just like, all right, maybe she's like just stuck underneath there. Like, I feel like they've already like cast it off like, okay, we just ran this woman over. And then her power shows up.
But as the audience member, we know that she just like dipped under the truck and is hanging on to the bottom.
Yeah, she's just hanging on at the bottom. And then her fucking goddamn power is so wild.
It's just like whatever she's touching, she can like turn into spikes and melt into it.
Well, it's like she can, when she touches something, she can become it. So it's like she touches the metal, so she now is metal and is able to like
move
kitty pride like phase through it. And then once she's in there, that's when she creates those like insane fucking like they look like just basically metal thorns.
Yeah, giant ones though.
So yeah, she shoots all these fucking metal spikes. I said she looks like some T-1000 goo, creates all these spikes, causing it to crash. And then she just leaves them to Benji to clean up the mess. Borgoff goes outside the truck to find Kyle, who just tells them to be quiet. So they're still around, and he's like kind of like looking around and stuff. Kyle starts to taunt Benji as Benji moves through the shadows like water.
Super creepy.
This is where you get they're in this like, I don't know what the hell this is, but there's all this.
It looks like it's like broken highways. You know what I mean? Like
Something,
this is where
right?
it has like the larger pillars, and there's like usually, it's super. Again, what's lays in everything. It's like the backgrounds are so surreal. You know what I mean? Because it's like dystopian, but also looking like something out of Legend, you know, like super fantasy.
It's what, you know, what's funny is at this part, for some reason, I didn't even think about where we were. Yeah. Fantasy. Maybe at some point, the whole world, like you're just in it. Like,
yeah,
I stopped paying attention and being like, what is this setting now? What is this the ruins of?
I love dystopian fantasy. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Dystopian fantasy. Fantastic.
Meanwhile, Dee's hand is able to help Dee rid the spell he is under and break himself free. Dee's hand often becomes kind of like plot armor type of stuff. It's able to do a lot.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm like, cool.
Because he like sucks the spell in? Is that what it does?
He eats it or something like that.
Dee's hand has... It does it in the first exuberant sucking powers, enough that it can suck a lot of stuff away, basically.
Oh.
Suck your problems away.
Is this his predominant hand?
I bet you could suck you off screen.
That much is true. Borgoff and Kyle engage in a little fight with Benji, but I keep calling him Benji or Bengi, but I think it's Bengi. But they're able to come out on top and kill him. The shadow guy.
Yeah.
But their vehicle, that's all messed up. They got to fuel up. So Borgoff is going to repair it while Kyle and Leila go to a nearby town to get fuel. While traveling in his coffin, Meyerlink reads a letter about seeking a pathway to the stars. And it's written in German. And the German translation says, "Dear honored Count Meyerling, the gate to the stars is with me. I hope you'll arrive soon and in best health. I wish for that with all my heart, in friendship, your countess." That's very similar, but compared to whatever he says. But that was like one of the other few IMDb behind the scenes trivias. There weren't that much.
Now, do you guys think that the Night City, the sky, the
City in the Stars, whatever it is,
City in the Stars, is that an actual thing, or are they both just kind of committing suicide by just like shooting up into space? Because like I get mixed vibes when they talk about it back and forth, where it's like you're still a human going into space. Like, I don't know how you're going to survive that. You know what I mean? Or if like because most of the stuff we get from the outside the planet seems to be in shambles.
Well, and I wonder how vampires survive space too. The City in the Stars, like how what's the deal with the sun once you're in space?
What's the deal with that?
Good point. Maybe it's like, I don't know. We don't get to find out. I'll say that.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
I don't think that's the point of it is, I think maybe at one point it was something, but I don't think it is anymore. But there's still hope for it.
Yeah, I don't think they know for sure that it's still there, but I don't think they're doing it knowing that it's not there. They're doing it with the hope that it is there.
Okay.
Of course.
All right.
And this is, I mean, their love is a Romeo and Juliet type of thing. I mean, no one
Real star-crossed lovers, these two.
They're living on a prayer.
is. So
They're halfway there.
D continues on at this point without his horse. Kyle and Leila see D coming into town while getting gas. Leila wants to stay back for a moment. She fucking, I don't know, wants to fuck with D. She just doesn't care for him.
Fucking hates him for some reason because she saved his life. He saved her life.
Yeah.
So she goes to have a drink at the local bar. Leila starts to get like a shakedown from the sheriff, but is able to distract him by mentioning the new Dunpeel hunter that's coming into town. He's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
So
Dunpeel. Not my town. I like he has a southern accent.
I love regional accents in a very post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all different.
Well, it's also
Like-
fun too, is that you go from like the Germanic architecture from the beginning of the movie, and now like where he meets the dad and the brother. And in this one, it's a Western. Like they're in like, it looks like something that's in like Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The weird aesthetic of this. I mean, I feel like you get that other Western vibe sprinkled throughout it as well. I mean,
all the sand sequences and stuff like that, all the desert ones.
After D arrives into town, he finds a local horse seller, and the sheriff comes in, and he wants D to leave, and tells the man, he's like, you can't sell, don't accept his money, you can't sell a horse to him, we don't want his type around here or anything like that. And the horse seller tells a nice little story.
I love his initial response, because he's like, did you just realize how much I just fucking charged him for this horse? Why are you fucking up this deal for me? I like the initial, he was like, I just charged him an exuberant price and he paid for it. What are you doing?
He's just like, yeah, I'll sell my damn horse to whoever the hell I want to as well.
Fuck I want.
Yeah. And so he tells this story of like when he was a little kid or something like that, or
when vampires were worse.
or worse, this hunter came into a vampire kidnapped a whole bunch of children. A hunter came into town, saved him, and well, it was D who came in and did all that, and he was one of those kids, and now he's like repaying that favor.
Because he always felt bad because the kids chased him off afterwards because he was a Dunpeel.
Yeah,
the whole town. And it's also like a really cool.
But I never forget a face, mister. I love that whole scene.
Well, it's a great dynamic to have, especially with this character, when you realize that he is immortal. You know what I mean? Like he is at this age permanently and has been for quite some time. And then how that would affect the people that he's interacting with in this, I don't know. It's very cool. We're like, I was 5 years old and you were the same looking.
Doesn't belong to either world. Truly alone.
He gets it. Now we come to the carriage and crew stopping to rest for the horses at this like little beautiful lakeside area. And Charlotte wants to get some sun. And while chilling by the water, Dee approaches and basically asks her why she's still with Meyer Link. She says she's in love with him. Dee tells her that she doesn't understand. Meyer Link will eventually turn her, and Dee will then have to come for her too. She wants nothing to do with returning to her father. She's like, I've made up my mind here. I love him.
Yeah.
Leila pops up, slaps Charlotte, calls her stupid, and says that they need to go.
Stupid bitch.
Is this where they're in the place with like the pillars and the forest?
It looks
and
like
the
something
water
out
and
of
stuff.
like ancient Greece.
I love this setting. Yeah. Again, another just like
Beautiful set piece.
and
Why not?
And it looks like a pond or something, but the water's shallow enough to
Walk
stand in
on,
it. Like,
yeah.
it's on doesn't even cover your feet.
Great stuff. Beautiful to look at. So Leila basically kidnaps Charlotte and tells Dee to back off. Dee starts to like go for a sword, but not to attack Leila. It's for sneaky Caroline, who's
above you,
sneaking up above. Now we get a fun little battle ensuing in the trees with Dee, Caroline. She's like fusing with and swimming around the trees and shooting shit out,
Spiking them out.
Yeah,
Dee's fucking slicing through whole trees.
Just like, yes, but it's really cool because like the first assassin was like swimming through shadows, and it's such a cool scene where she's like physically in the tree, like swimming in and out of it, like moving around. Is just so weird and cool.
There's another thing that reminded me of Ninja Scroll in this. or at this part, because I think it's the
tree attack.
the old man. Well, the tree attack with all the branches, but the old man disguises himself like in a tree and looks like a tree, and it looks kind of similar to her at one point.
Because like similar to how she like almost looked like T-1000 goo when she was the metal before. Now she looks like wood, like the tree.
Wood goo.
Wood goo.
Wood goo. You mean sap?
Sir.
Yeah, sap. So D has a problem though. He's been in the sun way too long and starts to feel the effects of sun paralysis or whatever. His hand's been warning about it this whole time.
This whole time.
Yes.
I do like the foreshadowing that they do. We're like, this is going to come around. Your hand's talking to you. Like, you should bury yourself. You don't forget about that. And then like 20 minutes later, he's like, well, you forgot about it. Now you're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially.
To the point though, I mean, he's able to kind of brush it off just enough. Carolyn continues her ambush on D. He narrowly escapes. Then he's able to like swing through the trees and lop her head off. Great. Got that
chops
taken
her
care
to
of.
like pieces. He chops a couple pieces off, and I love when we get the reveal of the severed head and her hair's all like tied in the different trees around it.
Yeah,
it's just sitting there and there. Would have been a lot cooler if there's blood pouring from it, but it's still very cool.
Very true. Very true. D at this point is like, I need to start burying myself, and that helps me regenerate or do it, or whatever I need to do.
Vampires and soil.
Leila's watching
something about that.
It turns to night. We see that Leila has seemingly helped bury D a bit more to help him, and she starts to leave before being attacked by Caroline. Oh no! But luckily the tree she's attacking from is struck by lightning and fucking annihilates her.
That part is awesome. She stabs her in the forehead with a knife, and she just kind of laughs at her, and then the lightning strikes the knife in her head.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Awesome.
That's enough to take care of it. Then the rain really starts coming down. This takes us to a nice...
I guess I gotta stay.
Yeah, I can't fucking just go out in this heavy downpour. Causes her to open up with D and really tell her hatred of vampires, rooted in her traumatic past where just like everyone she's ever known has been killed by vampires, and like it's fucked her over basically. And she became a hunter to avenge her parents and just get back at them in general. For some reason, Leila opens up to D a bit more and says that since they're both hunters for the long run, that whoever dies first, the other one, why doesn't the other one leave flowers at their grave when they die? D says, sure, I'll do this.
She thinks they'll both die alone because they're hunters, and I thought it was very poignant for his character when he says something to her like, you don't have to be a hunter. Yeah. He
said D says he does this because he is a hunter because he is a dun peel. He doesn't get to have a life like Leila could.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very like
that kind of gets at her for a second, and then after the storm, Leila proclaims they're even now. Heads out. Borgoff and Kyle realize the pursuit is leading to Castle Chaith, I think, a gothic stronghold filled with like all these filled with a lot. We'll get to that.
Phantoms and terrors and ghosts.
Yeah.
There's a bridge leading in, so what they've done is they set a trap to blow it up and ambush Meyerlink's carriage. A small section's blown up, forcing the carriage to stop. Borgoff warns Mashira, who's at the reins of the horses up front, that there's more explosives. We'll blow them all to hell if he moves at all. They're here for the girl. Don't make any fucking moves.
No sudden movements.
Setting wise and set piece wise, this is, I think, my favorite scene of the movie. This bridge scene.
And it's hilarious to me because it feels like the most contemporary, like modern age, our age bridge. You know what I mean?
Of what we've seen, yeah. So I love they stop the carriage, right? And what's her name comes out and they have her, but then when Meyerlink comes out and he's like just slowly walking his way there, catching on fire and all these little that does something for my cockles, the way that looks.
Well, I think it's also one of the first times
intent and meaning behind it. Like,
yeah, well,
so melodramatic, but it's awesome.
It really is.
Mhm.
But you see the first time where it's like it's a reciprocated feeling, as in it's not just like she's like hypnotized by this vampire lord. Like he literally has the same amount of emotion for her, so much so that he gets out of his carriage and is burning a lot, like undead alive, kind of like trying to get to her. You know what I mean? Where you're like, oh, okay, so they actually are in love.
Their love is real.
Seemingly so. Leila is also rolled up from a distance and is watching all this happen. She's like, what the hell is he doing? Why are they doing all this? So Charlotte breaks free from Kyle, embraces Meyerlink, even taking an arrow that he was hit with, saying that she's like, she'll take her own life if she can't be with him. And Kyle has the great idea that since she could be returned dead or alive, to just let her die, then they can kill Meyerlink and, take the reward. Everything's fine. Why not? Who cares?
So fucked up. You're like, yeah, just let him do it. We'll just pick him up later.
Suddenly, Kyle's attacked and killed by Mashira, or fucking as a crazy. Have you seen this kind of variation of a werewolf?
Okay.
No. Oh,
And
I think I skipped over it. When they first got up there, he used his like cool X-ray vision and saw through the horses and saw the bombs underneath and jumped off the bridge. And now he just came back.
Mm-hmm. It's I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't know how I feel about this this werewolf. Is that like most of them? Yeah, it's the giant, big fucking mouth in his stomach.
Yeah,
I just in certain aspects is kind of cool, and then I'm like, I don't know.
It like turns into a werewolf and has a giant wolf head in his stomach, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He I love it.
It gives me like John Carpenter The Thing vibes. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
I think this is a werewolf, a WURWUL.
Oh yeah, this is what we're gonna see in the Robert Eggers film.
Precisely.
For some reason, it reminds me of the X-Men. Like I feel like it would be a mutant.
yes.
Oh yeah. I definitely could see that.
And I like that.
So Borgoff, he decides, he's like, all right, I'm going to jump off this bridge and blow it up and just shoot everything. But as he's jumping down and pressing the buttons to blow it up,
oh, guess what?
Mashira has taken those explosives because he knew where they were at and placed them in the water, expecting Borgoff to do this. And Borgoff jumps down into exploding water.
So I love that.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's just like, fuck.
Meyerlink talks with Charlotte about the city of night and the stars. They'll be there soon. Also, cool shot of Meyer being tempted by her blood with like the veins like pulsing and all that stuff. And he's like, no, I mustn't.
Yeah,
and
like
he's,
the fangs come out.
Oh, yeah.
He's in a bad state. So
it would do him
like
good.
When Blade feeds on the girl in
It's
Blade.
cool to show the compulsive behavior of a vampire. Like no matter how much he emotionally is attached, it's like this impulse, knee-jerk reaction to being
He can
around
still do
blood.
it though.
Yeah, he's able to hold himself
restraining.
back from it. So Dee and the Marcus brothers are both pursuing Meyerlink, converging on Castle Chaith. Dee's hand starts telling the story of Carmela, this old vampire lord. She was bloodthirsty and very vain, basically. The character of Carmela doesn't exist in the novel that this is based on. It is said that she was the ancestor, lover, and the noble queen, giving her immense power, only surpassed by the ancestor himself. The sword stuck in her corpse belongs to the ancestor as well, as he grew weary of her bloodlust and vanity and stabbed her in her sleep. So there's this...
Didn't he say your father, the vampire king, stabbed her in her sleep?
Yeah, I think that's probably what he's referred to maybe as the ancestor. So Carmela's not in the book, but this character is. Her name Carmela isn't. I don't know. It's a little bit confusing.
Got it.
Carriage arrives at the castle. Dee and Werewolf Boy. This sucks that we don't see
the letter was the letter that he got before that he read like an invitation to come to this castle to fly away?
Yes, pretty much.
So this place is like the Abaddon Hotel. It's just like a ghost inviting them there I guess maybe she was really going to let them go. We don't know that she was going to fuck with those.
No.
No, she was going to fuck with those two.
She's trying to use them to get their blood to resurrect herself.
Oh, right. To use her. Right. Exactly. So yeah, this place is the Abaddon Hotel.
Dee and Werewolf Boy, they finish up a fight that we didn't see, and we learned Carmela hired the Barbary.
Yes. I also like that. Oh, man. Okay, I will. When he gets up on that ledge with the full moon behind him and completely wolfs out with that wolf snout coming out of his tum tum, I'm gonna. All right, it was cool. Okay, that part was cool. All right, I'm gonna go admit I don't necessarily. I'm not in love with the werewolf in general, but that scene was like, okay, that's fine. Okay, it's like a wolf. It's like a wolf kaiju.
Well, this whole thing is just like weird versions of things. You know what I mean? So I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And it looks awesome.
Agreed. Meyerlink and Charlotte, they're greeted by Carmela and taken on a little stroll around the castle. This fucking gothic as fuck, red and black.
Oh yeah,
shiny castle. Oh my god, it's gorgeously haunting and crazy looking. The grand ass staircases and the adornments on everything. It's wild, and like the scope of how big it is too.
Is all this stuff that we're talking about, how we love the beauty of it, is that stuff like painted, you think? Like paint, or what is it?
So if it's okay, it depends, because like certain animation, if it's cell animation, then some of these background things are either going to like gouache paintings, acrylic paintings. Sometimes they'll do ginormous oil paintings and then move the scenes on top of that. Right. So like most like the landscape stuff could easily be any of those mediums. I mean, sometimes they even do like watercolor. This one seems like it's more like either gouache or like, between like gouache or maybe like an oil painting, because it's so smooth. It's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
So Carmela takes them on this stroll, eventually leading them to the ship that's going to take them to the stars. She talks a bit about how all castles used to have ships like these back when vampires were in higher numbers and ruled the nights ever so more. And we're just going up to this city at leisure, I guess. Charlotte and Meyerlink.
Good old days.
They pretty much just reminiscing.
The good old days when billionaire vampires had rocket ships.
Really saying there. Something. Yeah. I mean, I think we are there.
Yeah.
Charlotte and Meyerlink also have a little conversation about turning Charlotte into a vampire, but Myers says, we'll talk about this later. He has shit to attend to. Mainly fighting Dee. He finds him holding Charlotte, surprisingly, saying that she wants to go home. This surprises Meyer. He's suddenly cut in half. It's like, oh shit. Meyer's dead, and does this like little split, like slides apart.
Yeah. I like that he like this Lord and Dee had almost the same, like something caught them off guard, which led to them. Like for first it was like being like, no, don't hurt him on the carriage. And this one was like, I want to leave. And he's like, wait, what? Slash.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Charlotte at the same time seems to sense something, and then she's transfixed by this image of Meyer in the mirror. The mirror turns to this long stairwell with Meyer at the top beckoning her. She's like, oh, okay. She goes, her eyes kind of like go glossy, glaze over. Meanwhile, Dee continues his search around the castle, which leads him into a weird, dreamy room. Leila and Borgoff have arrived at the castle now, and they start to make their way inside. Back with Dee, there's this woman. We see her from the back, all draped and like talking with him about himself,
blood
and
around
love, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, in Carmela's castle, Dee sees a vision of his human mother. She asks him to forgive her for birthing him as a Dampier and for loving his vampire father. Dee realizes this vision is Carmela's doing and strikes it down with his sword. So Dee sees past the spell that she's trying to create.
Yeah.
So you kind of get it in the first movie, but if you don't know by the lore, Dee is the son. He's a descendant. He's the son of Dracula.
Okay. Like
and,
OG.
Dracula is the ancestor. Like Dracula's the big, the thing. So in the lore of Dee's vampire, it's Dracula, the sacred ancestor. And while his human mother is applied to be Mina, known as Mina the Fair. So that's who that's supposed to be here from Dracula lore. Yeah. Borgoff has stumbled upon a pair of coffins with Nolt and Kyle alive inside. But not really. It's just a trap to get Borgoff killed.
Yes.
Gotcha. I was a little bummed at how he went down. Like it was just, I wish he had more of a fight. It was a cool trick, but he just gets arrowed in the back and then falls over.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I can see that. Leila, she opens a door that brings her into a room full of white light, and eventually we see a small child at a grave in the snow. It's herself as a child. She embraces the child, trying to comfort her, but the child breaks free and runs off. Leila is about to chase after her, but Dee stops her right before a chandelier falls from the ceiling, which would have
Breaking
landed
the
on top
illusion.
of her. Yep, breaking that illusion as well. Dee says it's an illusion. Carmela's projecting. Borgoff then pops up again, but oh no, it's not regular Borgoff. He's a vampire. He grabs Leila and holds her hostage and is like, I'm going to bite the shit out of her neck. Cool looking.
I do like, yeah. I'm curious on almost like in, I guess they have it in Abigail and in a lot of other ones where it's like, you would think under his own volition that he wouldn't do that because he's a vampire hunter. So part of that is like him turning is almost like being heavily like a puppet. You know what I mean? Instead of just like of his own volition. Does that make sense?
Do what? Yeah, I think once you're a vampire, like it turns your mindset, changes.
Yeah,
Especially like, I don't know, a lowly level or something like that.
it's true.
I don't know.
Right.
Dee slowly advances as Borgoff continues to threaten to bite Leila's neck, but then Borgoff's arm is blasted off in a beam of light. It's Grove in his astral form comes floating into the room. He grabs onto Borgoff and blows himself up. Self-sacrifice taking out Borgoff.
Yep.
Dee runs off. Charlotte been slowly lured into what she thinks is Meyer. She's bit. And she falls to the floor and Meyer's nowhere to be found. Her illusion kind of breaks and her blood starts pouring out of her neck and going into a coffin nearby to awaken Carmela.
Trickling up the stairs
Oh,
into the coffin to the like corpse with the giant sword in it.
Yes. I audibly, the first time watching this, when it started just like migrating into the coffin, I was just like, oh no. Just the long like, oh no.
And once we get her full transformation, that is another rad looking thing in this movie.
Oh yeah, dude.
Sure is. Well, I thought this was a cool part too. We go back to a split up Meyer Link, and we see him just kind of like slip himself back together real quick. Oh yeah, that's how tough he is. Dee goes to confront Carmela's spirit, and we get this whole like him confronting her and this like weird big clamshell thing that she's sitting in. Just a really cool look while she's like projecting a whole bunch of electricity.
Yeah.
He's like fighting through that or something. So while all this is happening, the body of Carmela is being resurrected in this cool looking all red but blood body.
Oh, looks like somehow like what was that Guillermo del Toro, like Crimson Peak? Like it's just like this weird red corpsey kind of just like blood golem-y. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gross. Awesome.
I think it looks really cool. And while Dee essentially fights her spirit, Meyer destroys her body. And this kind of is the double thing that is able to essentially take out Carmela for good, because then the castle starts to crumble, which is a thing I think that just happens in this world, is that the castles are so tied to the lords that they crumble around them and get destroyed if that vampire lord is destroyed, because it happens at the first.
Now we know
movie.
how to destroy the Abaddon.
Ooh.
We gotta kill
The vampire
that
lord
guy.
Well, sure, that makes sense.
It's vampire, yeah.
But yeah, like in the first one, when they kill the big bad vampire, the castle starts
The whole
crumbling
thing
all
just
around
comes
them
down.
as well. So Dee and Meyer, for some reason, they need to have this final face-off and a final duel, just because they got to show this to us. Leila, she's had enough of killing at this point. Misery and death. She's like, no more. They fight a bit, and as Dee goes for the killing blow, he misses on purpose. And like, there's like this whole scene of like, because Charlotte
I do like
has died at this point.
Oh, sorry, I like the fact that the fight is based off of him just needing to take her body back to town.
Mm-hmm.
And then him being like, no, you can't take her body. And he's like, come on, dude, she's dead. Can I just... All right,
I need to get
fucking
paid.
do this. I need to get paid, bro. So let's just fucking do this. Like, I like the fact that it has nothing to do with ill will
towards this vampire lord. It
Mm-hmm.
all has to do with the monetary thing of the bad. He's like, dude, just come on, please, can we just? All right.
He's like, I'd let you live. At
I got
this
a
point.
reputation.
Like, yeah, I got a reputation to
Yeah.
hold up. And so she has died because she wasn't bit by a vampire. She was just punctured and let
Drained.
drain out or whatever. And Leila has taken her ring off and like, I don't know, dropped it or whatever. It starts flinging it around, and Dee then realizes that he just needs the ring. So he kind of only like stabs Meyer in the shoulder.
Yeah, very dramatic shots as the sword is going towards Meyer and the ring is like bouncing off the ground, cutting back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Very dramatically.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this is the crescendo here. It's all been building up to this here. So he fucking goes for what we think is going to be the kill shot. It's not. And it's like,
Why did you miss my heart?
the ring is all I need. And I think he also just wanted to like do this to be like, but you know, I could have killed you. I got you.
I could have fucking killed you.
And the way that he like just puts his long ass sword down and just rolls the ring up
Lift
onto
the
it
ring.
and just like
Yeah.
grabs it off there. Like, come on, kid. No. This ends this here. We get to the bridge. Castle's crumbling. Leila basically is like, can I get a ride? And then from there, we see a sudden rumble and the rocket ship is taken off. We see it thrusting into the sky. Charlotte and Meyer are escaping into space, trying to, you know, we don't see what happens to them, but we see that the rocket ship, after struggling a little bit, thrusts off and is able to, I don't know.
I like that she's
Get
also
into orbit.
cheering it on
Yeah.
as it goes. Get up there! Don't
Yeah.
It's like, fuck yeah, you go.
go for it.
They get off seeking a life free from the persecution of, you know, the vampire human love that they have. Film concludes with Dee meeting a young girl at a funeral. It's Leila's funeral. We quickly find out, and this young girl is Leila's granddaughter. Dee's here just to keep an old promise he made to an old friend. She was afraid no one would mourn her death. He's not so bad. This vampire hunter Dee. He rides off
Love
into the
this
horizon.
ending. Because you see the little girl, I'm like, that looks, what is this in the past? Because that looked like the little girl we saw when we saw Leila's little kid version in her hallucination. But then, yeah, for it to turn out to be her, and he was just paying, I was like,
Rad.
what a nice little ending here. I love for a character that doesn't talk much, they really give him a nice arc and like depth.
It's beautiful. And that takes us to the end of it. And that was Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust.
Bloodlust.
Blolo.
Oh, you
You guys
mean that
got any-
Blolo?
You guys got any final thoughts before we get into our crematorium?
I do not.
No.
Beautiful. Let's head over.
Done deal.
Back to our crematorium. We got questions to ask each other and get through this and ask you club members too. As always, jump into the Discord, answer these questions. Let us know how you feel about these movies. We'll come back to your responses for Who Left Some in a moment. How would we survive? How would we survive? I don't know. I have it written twice in my script for some reason.
How are we going to survive?
The question's so nice, he said it twice.
I think you could. I think obviously there's a lot of people that are in this universe that are surviving in those conditions.
It's rough.
I feel that we would be fucking nuked if we met a vampire lord. But in comparison to some of the other creatures are there, stay in groups, apparently stay in a Western town, and you should be.
I think I'd just be a vampire lord. Can I just choose that?
Ooh. Well, what happens if you get bit and you're just like, do you have to be like, you have to like make your way through? You probably start as like a zombie vampire and you have to
How does that
survive
work?
that. I don't know, like a couple of years is that, and then you get promoted.
Is it like a time thing? Can you just like set it
Right,
and
do you
forget
put
it?
in
Like,
your
get
time, or
bit,
does it?
dive
Can you
in.
only be a lord vampire if two other lord vampires have a baby lord vampire?
That's true. Or maybe you have to like
Is it
drink
a
enough
lineage?
blood without getting killed, and then you can get to a certain level.
Congratulations, you drank enough blood to be apprentice vampire.
Oh, whoa.
You're no longer a zombie. You get to do whatever I tell you to do now. But when I don't tell you to do stuff, you can do whatever you want. Isn't that great?
Isn't it great? So yeah, I don't think this is like that. I mean, it's a livable world.
It's tough.
With a
It's
bunch
an
of monsters and
adventure
shit.
movie.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. If you see in the first one, there are weird. I don't know what the time difference is between like the first movie and this one, but like there's this weird like gas cloud that goes around that just dissolves matter if it goes over
like literally
you.
a creeping fog of death.
So
That's
like
cool.
there's like gross creatures out there that could hurt you, but I think we can do this. I think we make we're surviving on our shuttle bus through the world of Vampire Hunter D. Cool.
Tell you what, we're on the shuttle bus and we come to the sand mantas. We're turning around.
You're right.
What happens when we roll up to the Barbary? I think we stay there.
Yeah.
All right, cool. How to make a gooier? Because I know we need to make this one gooier here.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
add a
Just
ton
add
of
the
blood.
blood.
There's so many
Yeah,
opportunities for it.
There is. There truly is. Just I guess a shame. But you know what? Whatever, man. Villain level 1 through 10. Meyer Link is, I guess, what we're putting here. Carmela,
Yeah.
you could include as well because she's ultimately
As a villain.
the big bad.
I think, oh man, power level, I mean, is pretty fucking high. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like not God level, because obviously he can be killed by sunlight, but I would give him between a 4 and a 4.5. I mean, the dude is he got cut in half and survived, and then came back for more.
He can crush every cross in town on his way in.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's just his aura.
Yeah. And Carmela as well. She is surviving as a spirit for so long as well. She's immortal with that since until she gets destroyed as well.
I
So-
liked, was it when Borgon died that his
Borgoff.
cross necklace, Borgoff
Melted.
is, cross necklace like completely dissipated. It got so hot and melted. It's cool.
I think the only thing that, I mean, I don't even want to give points away for iconography, but I mean, like, it is very iconic, but it looks like an iconic European vampire, like a Count Dracula. They all kind of just look like a variation of Count Dracula to me. You know what I mean?
Sure. I can see that.
So
for
like,
sure.
but I still give it at least like a 3.5 for iconography. I mean, like, it's weird if like I couldn't probably pick him out of a lineup if there was a bunch of other, like if you had like Dracula from Castlevania, this one and some of the other vampire lords, it'd be hard for me to distinguish between them. You know what I mean? But like, I'd still want to give it like a 3.5.
I'd go 4 and 4 on each.
I'll agree. 4 and 4. I'll put it at an 8. Sounds good. Does this deserve a sequel? What's the sequel you want to see? I'd say, yeah, this deserves a sequel because there's just so many worlds you can play in with D.
I wouldn't even want to try and pitch whatever it would be. Just, keep us traveling, I would say. And beyond that, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah, just fight another vampire lord.
Give me more variations of monsters with their different powers.
Different monsters too. Exactly. Fight different powerful monster creatures. Like, if it's going to be, especially there was a show or something mentioned, that'd be cool. Episodically, you could have different, like almost like, how the Mandalorian is a space Western.
This is perfect like for a show.
Yeah. You could have them fighting different creatures. A whole clan of those werewolves we love so much.
Oh yeah.
And just amp up the blood and just have a lot of fun with it and D's adventures through time. And you could also have it a series span like 1,000 years or something like that somehow. Like each episode is 100 years after another or something ridiculous. That could be fun.
That could be a lot of fun.
Would you buy the soundtrack or score on vinyl? I don't know if you guys remember the soundtrack or score, or I do. It stands out.
It's very like dramatic, operatic, theatrical stuff.
Yeah.
I personally would, if it was like a cool version of it, like if there's a cool release or something, I'd be like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Right.
Personally, I like the soundtrack score to the first movie a lot more. I love that one. Stands out to me.
Yeah, I feel like I would have this on a playlist, but I don't know if I'd buy it on vinyl.
I wouldn't do either. It's not something I would. It works for the movie. It's just not it's not something I would want to listen to outside of it.
True.
Of course. Is there anything action figure worthy?
Everything.
Plenty. Yeah.
Everything. Literally every fucking character.
Nothing is not.
Figure.
I have a D action figure from this movie. I don't know where it's at right now. But yes, I'd say the majority of things in this movie.
Yeah.
Like a Dead Reckoning playset. You could have that Dead Reckoning with your Land of the Dead Reckoning and have them fight.
Wolf guy where it like flips out of the tummy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Like a transformer.
Yeah, transforming ones. Yeah, that'd be fun as shit.
Honestly, I would love a diorama of the cemetery with all of those zombie ghoul creatures like coming up over the ridge and just an
cool.
That would be so much fun.
I guess the only thing I wouldn't be that interested in is our what's our girl that we're rescuing?
Charlotte.
Yeah,
she's the least
regular ass human.
Yeah, just a regular ass human. What's fun about that? I definitely take a Carmela, any of the three people protecting the character. Like all of them are so cool looking.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
Such cool character designs that you could have.
Barbary.
The Barbary. Oh man. What merch or prop would you want from the film? I'm going to take Dee's whole outfit.
That's the whole good.
And then I'm just going to wear that from now on.
I'm totally taking RoboCop horse.
Yeah, take a Robo horse for sure.
I'm taking a cell from an animation cell from the moment that D is introduced when he grabs the arrow and his wings are all big with the moon behind him.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I would love just like the blood crypt kind of like metamorphosis, something from that transition scene where she comes out of the grave at the end. I think would be awesome.
Anything that's like just one of those painted backgrounds, whatever we talked about, one of those. Perfect. Any of them.
Yeah, I definitely take it. It's not a cell, not like a cell actually from the film, but it is a cell shot I have of when D catches the arrow. I don't remember if it came when I bought the DVD. So the DVD was really cool because it came in this fucking like red case and it was all fucking gothic and red and black looking. It was very on brand. I was very happy with the packaging.
On brand.
Good packaging. I love a good packaging.
Good job. Promotional popcorn bucket for this one. I think a hand with Dee's mouth and you could the
oh
hand
my god,
face.
yes. You have to do it. Yes.
I think that could be fun. His hat. You just have an upside down hat. And then you could have a fucking giant hat afterwards. It's got to be huge. That's part of it. His hat
Carriage.
is really big.
Oh, the carriage.
Yeah, the carriage. You could have a werewolf
rocket.
mouth.
The castle rocket.
Castle rocket. No, that's where the drink is. That's
or just like a crazy, or just a bucket, but a very gothic ornate bucket. I mean, would be on brand.
What comes with a 7,000 ounce rocket drink.
Hell yeah, man. Rocket drink. All right.
Rocket drink.
I only want your fingers.
Should we all cut our fingers open and bleed on it?
Can you wrap your fingers around this?
I'll take the Voorhees burger and a side of Jason's bacon.
Showdown.
Now time to pull out our long ass swords as we rate this film on our Chuddle scale. On this show, we like to use our subjective rating scale of 0 to 5 fingers. Each cut off finger adds to the score, with more fingers equaling a higher score. You can cut off 0 fingers, 0.25 fingers, 0.75 fingers, half fingers, full fingers. We go wild with the fingers.
Oh!
On our engaging, sticky, t-shirtable cockles and rewatchable scale. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Ross, then I'll go to Sam, and I'll clean it up at the end with myself.
Okay. Engaging, I'm going to... Okay. I'm going to go with the full 1. I was engaged the entire time. I think I was a strange person in a strange place, and I was just glued to the television the entire time. Sticky. I think Sticky's also going to get the full 1 for me because this is like, there's some real memorable creatures. There's some real memorable kills in this. I think there's just the architecture. It's just like when you have a beautiful movie like this, I'm going to remember more of the background scenes and the paintings and things like that. You know what I mean? Like including some really crazy ass scenes. T-shirtable's going to get, I think T-shirtable's going to get a 0.75. There's a lot of really cool stuff with this. and I think it's a beautifully illustrated film. But the I don't know. There's something like there's just a slight tinge in it for me, just because of the illustration style. With a lot of the characters have these really like elongated faces, and it's a kind of anime. You know what I mean? But like there's certain aspects of it, like it's not my favorite kind of illustration style, but doesn't detect anything from like the character design or anything like that. Like it'd still be a very wearable shirt. Cockles is gonna get the full 1. This is fucking dystopian fantasy. I love this universe. I want to be in this universe all the time. You know what I mean? Because it's like it hits the right sci-fi chords for me. It also hits the right just like dark fantasy, like just Castlevania vibes. You know what I mean? And then rewatchable. I think is probably going to get. I'll probably give this one a 0.752. I think it's really good. I'd probably just which I did for the show. I did it as like a double header. I would do the one from 85 and this one back to back. Obviously it's the only two that are there, but it's like, it's just, but it's a fun sit down. It was actually kind of fun watching the first one and then watching this one. I don't know, but this one I would also suggest for animation heads that I know from going forward too. Be like, okay, cool. This has enough horror, but like this has got some just amazing animation stuff too. So
cool. That gives you a 4.5 out of 5.
I'm cool with that.
Cool. I'm glad you're cool with that.
So I'll say like the first one, it is like you mentioned back to back. The first one is a little bit darker, slower paced, probably a little bit more horror elementy ish.
Yeah.
To some extent with it. And this one is a little bit, definitely a lot more action-y oriented. So
it's more Aliens 2.
Yeah. It's the Alien to Alien 2 thing. Alien to Aliens thing.
Yeah.
Alien 2.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start calling it Alien 2.
Alien 2.
See how much that messes people up. So you can look at it whenever for you gentlemen here. I'll put it into the Discord. I just threw in some like, this is like the artwork, like the original artwork that's Vampire Hunter D, and it's
okay.
Like from the novel?
Yeah, and what inspired anything that we've seen since.
Interesting.
Really cool, really beautiful, I think, looking. Almost watercolory looking in some aspects. But dark.
It almost gives you like art nouveau vibes. You know what I mean? Where it's like the very like monocolored skin tones and just like some really incredible detail there.
Yeah, I'd check it out if you're interested in some. It's got some again. What I like about this movie is that it does the artwork so beautifully. Like the source material, the other stuff, the artwork of Vampire Hunter D, I've always found to be very aesthetically pleasing. And even the 80s one feels very of its time too. It feels like a very good 80s anime kind of stuff going on. Fun stuff going there. So I've interjected that. Sam, you can go ahead now.
Sup. Engaging is going to be a 1. Just in it moves quickly. There's lots of wild stuff happening all the time. Sticky, this is gonna be I just gotta be honest, it's gonna be a 0.25 because I am like almost certain I've seen it before after I watched it. Because just certain things, seem kind of familiar. I was like, yeah, I think I have seen this. And I think it will also, I think I'll, maybe hopefully remember it a bit better, but over time, unless I'm watching it, won't really remember. T-shirtable, I'll give the full 1. There's just so much cool looking stuff. There's a million things that could be a good T-shirt. So definitely a full 1 there. Cockles are going to get a full 1 as well. Really we've gushed about how great it looks, but for that reason and all the cool monster designs and stuff like that. And rewatchable, I think I'm going to give a 0.75 to, because I feel like I might be inclined. I'm certainly more inclined to watch this again now than whenever it was the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
So that feels right. I'm not rushing to see it because I just watched it twice for this, but I could possibly see myself watching this within the next year, which lately it's rare for me to do rewatches because there's so much to see.
Yeah.
And that gives me a 4 out of 5, which feels good. It's a little higher than I expected. I thought I wasn't sure I'd make it up to a 4, but
yeah.
I'm happy to be there.
Happy. Awesome. Cool. All right. So I'll clean it up, as I like to say. Just shoot it across the board once.
Clean it up yourself.
It's too nostalgic to not be a 5 for me. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like one of those movies that ingrained itself in you at some point.
And it's like, it's so Vampire Hunter D is so cool to me. Like it's gonna, like, it hits the cockles so hard that just raises so much to it. I mean, engaging. I could go through it real quick. It is fully engaging. Like I said, the first time too, watching this in theaters was such a cool experience, but it's fast paced. It's got really cool action scenes.
Yeah, I bet.
Sticky. I remember a lot from this, obviously. T-shirtable, the artwork, the designs, there's so much character design that you could do from this, and the gothic imagery creates just so much cool stuff. Cockles and rewatchable 1-in-1. So that gives me the 5, obviously. And that, what do you want to go to our score here? Total is a 4.5 from us, but let's go over to the Chuddle Club and see what they have to say.
That puts it in the Chuddle Club.
It sure does, and we'll compare it to a couple other movies real quick, but let's get over to the Discord to see what everyone had to say about this one here. Cronenberg popped in, the one and only. It's a 10. Fast-paced, great characters and villains, a post-apocalyptic setting that looks amazing. There's blood, there's violence, my kind of anime. It's an underrated movie that I love from start to finish. I give it all 5 fingers on the Chuddle scale. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
We also had Kate popped in and says, I haven't seen it, but you 3 all get full marks for awesomeness.
Thanks.
Tivu popped in, said engaging 1, top quality animation, and just an all-around vibe. Sticky 0.5, first time watch, so time will tell. T-shirtable 1, you bet your bloody booty. Cockles 1, horror visuals and anime done right. Rewatchable 1, I'd easily give this another go. 4.5 out of 5, and it's damn near perfect for what it is. Stow me to death at the midnight show.
Nice. Shout out.
I believe it's Mike
from
the Horror Junkies said this is one of the best animes of all time next to Angel's Egg, which I do not know what that is. And I didn't look it up. I meant to.
Angel's Egg.
Never heard of this. So maybe we're about to get learned.
I mean, I'm not a particularly experienced anime person, but I feel like I thought I would have at least heard of all the big ones. You know what I mean?
Right. Certainly. And that's how we pop in there. We had some more discussion going on, but those were the scores that we got as well. So the club likes it pretty much overall too. And as we mentioned before, Letterboxd sitting at what, 26 or something? I think you mentioned it was in the 20s.
I think it was 25
or something like that. And a 4.5 from us that puts it into the crypt.
Sure does.
Other 4.5s we have are Fresh, The Ring, The Black Phone, Halloween, OG, Scare Package, and Bride of Chucky. So that sits it now, nestled in there, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good list.
Right above it at 4.6, two 4.6s, Mads and Dawn of the Dead. And right below it, we have two 4.4, Night of the Living Dead and Gremlins.
Oh.
Which...
Wow.
I'm almost positive, now that I think about it, on our re-ratings episode, I don't think you asked me for my Gremlins score. And that was one that I wasn't on the episode of. And so I put it in there. No. I don't know. I feel like something I don't know if it was talked about, but I gave it a 4 overall. So that gave that movie a 4.4 if it wasn't mentioned. Who cares? That's where it sits. That's where we're at.
It's good to know. Yeah.
It's good to know.
It's in there now.
So thank you, club. Thank you all for hanging out, because you know where we're at? We're at the end of the episode. And that's going to conclude tonight's meeting of the Chuddle the Pod Horror Movie Club. Thank you.
The sun has come up.
Thank you. Yeah, the sun is up. We got to start. The sun is on its way up, and we got to start shuttering our windows and creeping back into our coffins and in this meeting. And we thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, you can follow at Chuddle the Ross, at Chuddle the Sam, or at Chuddle the Bride with a Y on Letterboxd. We're all over there. Get over there, follow us. We'll follow you back. We'll
Yeah.
see what each other's watching and have a good time over there. Follow Ross at Ross Purvis on Instagram to get at his artwork, see what he's tattooing, see what he's drawing, and get links to all that kind of shit where you can buy stuff from him. And if you're in the Orlando metropolitan area, get tattooed by him, because that's even cooler.
Do it.
Be cool. Get a tattoo.
Do.
And
unfortunately, the first one is not free.
no, it is not. But you know what?
Sorry.
It's worth it. We've mentioned
But
it.
the friendship is.
The friendship is free. I like that. We mentioned it a few times tonight before already. Jump into the Discord to continue this conversation, as well as many others. We talk about all sorts of movies and other things galore. Games. We're gaming. Video gamers. We got a whole bunch of fun shit over there. Jump in. Hang out. Share your thoughts on all sorts of stuff. One other thing is we're at Chuddle the Pod, and you can follow all of those things on the various platforms. Mainly our Instagram. Let's boost us up. If you're not following us on our Instagram, give us a number. We'd love it. We'd love you. I'm going to get us out of here.
Rate, review, tell your friends.
That one too. And as always, void the time.